Good evening, everyone. We're here for tonight's Village Board meeting, Tuesday, September 5th. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will everyone please remain standing? I'd like a moment of silence for a gentleman named Dennis Dale. He was a local area resident, retired New York City firefighter from rescue who raised his family in this area. So it's just like a moment of silence for him. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may sit down. I have a roll call, please, of trustees, please. Trustee Albert? Present. Trustee Corrigan? Present. Trustee Dennis Hoag? Present. Trustee Hagan? Present. Mayor Curley is present. Upcoming meetings, we have a regular meeting scheduled for Monday, October 2nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. And we have a regular meeting scheduled for Monday, November 6th, 2023 at 7 p.m.
Are you keeping that, Mayor? That's the night before election day.
We'll see. We'll see that next meeting, Frank. Okay?
Okay.
I know a lot of times you cancel it. We'll see how everyone's feeling, huh?
Okay.
I'd like a motion to approve the August 7, 2023 Board of Trustee meeting minutes, please. Motion, please.
Trustee Corrigan.
Second, please.
Second, Dennis Hoag.
Second made by Trustee Dennis Hoag. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Fred, I know you have somewhere to go tonight, please. Can you want to come up and give your report? Tell us about all these grants we're working on to get money for these taxpayers, Fred.
Good evening, Board. Last month I spoke a little bit about the Water Department and some grants that we applied for. And really over the past many years, a lot of the issues have not been addressed within the Water Department. What we're really doing is we're bringing it up to state of the art. And I've been working with the mayor and Mike Giannito and Charles Sawicki in the Water Department in doing so. And I spoke a little bit about this last week, which we applied for some last month, which we applied for some grants, but we applied for another one in addition to. So I just want to reiterate that over the past 45 days, it's been over $4 million in grant funds that we've been applying for to help offset the cost of what we're looking to do. First is the Bon Air pump station. That's a pump station which distributes water up in the Bon Air area, including the Good Samaritan Hospital, which is a critical infrastructure medical facility within the area. This would be a backup generator in case anything happens. We'll still be able to deliver water to that community and also to the hospital. New water metering system. We have an antiquated water metering system which has been in place for over 20 years. It's an old drive-by system. If you want to do reads, you got to drive by. What we're looking at doing is a new state-of-the-art cloud-based system, which basically you can do it from your office desk. And we can do reads at any particular point in time. This will help save water, it will help determine leakage, it's good for the environment, and it will hopefully help save residents money as well. We're looking to put in a new well. Currently we have 4 wells for our, to deliver the potable water to our residents and the businesses. We're looking at having a 5th well dug such that it will help us out if one of the wells goes down or if the blending of, sometimes when a contaminant goes into one of the wells, let's say like a lot of salt, what you got to do is you got to blend the water from one well to another well to bring it down to an acceptable level. So we're looking to have this 5th well put in place. The most recent grant that we applied for is lead service line replacement. That's basically from the main in the road to the person's house. Okay, and we're required to do this by the EPA, the Rockland County Department of Health, and New York State. And what we got to do is we got to go out and we have to inspect each one of our over 2,000 connections from the road to the meter to determine whether or not they have lead within the pipes, and then we would have to, the homeowner would have to work with us and try to get that replaced, such that they are not lead lined. So that's the water system.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you very much. And those grants you already have put in for, correct, Fred?
Right, we put in for them, and we should know whether or not we've received them by the end of the year.
Correct. And then, based on whether we get grants or not, or based on which projects we can do or not do. We're trying to be proactive on the well. I felt that we have 4 wells presently now. Well 3 hasn't been used for many years, and I'm afraid if well 4 ever goes down, we'd only have well 1 and 2, and that wouldn't, in the peak hours, it wouldn't be always strong enough. So we're looking to cover ourselves for the future. New York State has come out with some great grant programs, and we went ahead and, we got our engineers, and with Fred and Mr. Janito and myself, and his board, and we applied for these other grants. Thank you very much, Fred.
I just have a couple other brief things. I'd like to talk about the heating system here at Village Hall.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, we have a grant for $235,000 to replace the heating system here at Village Hall. This building used to be a high school, then an elementary school, and then the village purchased it as their Village Hall back in, I believe it was the early 80s. And that's when the heating system has really been put in place, and it's been patchworked ever since. And so we were very fortunate to receive a grant for $235,000. We put out a bid for a new boiler system, and we have received that. And Charles will be talking more about that tonight for the acceptance of that bid. And we're going to be also putting out another bid for the distribution system, which will be for the radiators and the varying piping, which is necessary. So we're looking to get all this in place and hopefully have this done as soon as possible for the upcoming winter season. We have parking lot A. That's the parking lot which is at the corner of Orange Avenue and Lafayette Avenue. We have a grant for repaving of that, $200,000 grant, and Charles will be talking tonight briefly. He has a resolution out to do the engineering for that parking lot, okay? And hopefully we'll get that done as soon as we possibly can. And then finally, I'm going to talk about this hopefully for the last time, West Maple Avenue Sidewalk Project. We received $300,000 in grants to do the sidewalks, curbs, and driveway aprons. I just had to go over there and take pictures of the finished product, and it really is beautiful. It is really nice. If you haven't been over there, just take a walk down over into the West Ward and see the nice job that the contractor did along with our DPW staff. We'll be putting in for the reimbursement of that this week, and working with Charles and with Janito on getting those funds. That's
Okay.
it.
I just want to explain something to the public. On some of these grants you hear them in certain areas of the village, because the community block grants, and they only deem certain areas in the village as low income, so, or certain income. So the grants are limited to certain areas. So like, part is West Maple Avenue over there. We have another grant we're looking to get to go down to the ball field down there, and other sidewalk projects that we did last year. And even parking lot A, that's part of that grant program on that side. There's other type of grants, but those grants that he's talking about are coming from the, like from the county, and it's limited, right, community development grants, and it's limited where you can do them. So I want you to understand, like, we can't just all of a sudden say, okay, we're going to do this grant on this street over here, or this street, on certain projects. We do our own projects too, like different paving and different projects that will be coming up this year also. Thank you, Fred.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Fred.
Bye, Fred.
At this time, I'd like to talk about, we're going to have a public hearing, a law amending Chapter 215 of the Code of the Village of Suffern regarding rental properties in the Village of Suffern. We welcome rental properties in the Village of Suffern, but we also find that we have a lot more rental properties going on, and we have a problem sometimes contacting the owner to do enforcement of simple things, of property maintenance, and sometimes big things. And we want to have a rental registry so we can better keep control of our different properties. And it makes it awful tough on our code enforcers, our building inspector, building department, and even the police chief. When we had a swatting incident, we thought how handy that could have came in place, because it was a new property just purchased on Woodland Avenue, but yet we didn't have information on it. So it made it a lot we had to get in touch with Ramapo and different police departments to try to find out who the owner was. And then we actually did it through realtors. So the more information we have, the better we can keep a nice community and keep our eyes on things. So at this moment, I'd like to have a motion to open up the public hearing on a rental registry, please.
Motion, trustee
Motion
Albert.
made by trustee Albert, second, please.
Second, trustee.
Second made by trustee King. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. At this point, anyone that has any comments, we've worked on a rental registry. We've added single-family homes and owner-occupied homes, which was never in it before, because we feel that having more information, again, is better for everyone, okay? So if anyone would like to say anything, you're more than welcome to come on up, because at this point, if there's something you want to add to this, we're willing to adjust it or change it if you have something good to put in. So come on up to the microphone, please. Just say your name and address, please. Thank you very much. I recognize you.
Beth Coppell, 30 West Maltby, and thank you for coming up with this registry. It's a fantastic idea. I'm one of the residents on the West Ward, and we've had issues with rental properties recently, and one of which has been parking 15-passenger vans that are registered in another state on our street every day, 3 of them. There are 5 vehicles that are 2 SUVs, 3 commercial vans that should be commercial vans if they were registered in New York. One of them actually was registered in New York, and they changed it to Virginia, so that way they don't have to abide by our laws in New York. But with that said, that's a minor portion in comparison to what you're doing here, which is bringing our landlords, so we can actually get to our landlords, because with the LLCs and with the amount of tenants that some of these rentals are renting to, there's nowhere, you have no way of getting to the landlords unless you're doing something like you're doing, and I'd like to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Is there something that's going to also address the number of occupants in a single-family unit and basically maybe limit the number of people who are non-family?
I'll start. I'll start it now, let the lawyer finish. Right now, there are laws based on square footage on what you're allowed to keep in a room. You're allowed to have a one-person in a room with 70,000 square feet. If you have two people in a room, you got to have 100 square feet, 70 square feet, 100 square feet, and it multiplies by 50 every time. So you need 200 square feet for 4 people. So it starts at the 70 and then goes up, and then it goes up and it multiplies. So there's something in place, but we've never been allowed to inspect single-family homes. So we're going with this here, and we may have some pushback, some legal pushback, and that's why that's when my attorney takes over. But we have to try. We can't just sit back. We have to try as a community, and that's what we're trying. That's what we're putting forth here. So we're not against renters. I mean, we're not against anyone. We're here. We welcome you. Actually, this actually protects renters, because now we'll have a way to inspect the house, hopefully, and make it safer for you for landlords that don't properly take care of you. So there's a double angle to this. It's not just saying to landlords, hey, be responsible, because there are many responsible landlords. It's the few that aren't responsible. But secondarily, we're then helping and protecting the tenants also. I'm a retired New York City firefighter. You may or may not know that. So these things, fire safety to me and safety is extremely, extremely important. But I want the tenants to understand too, we welcome you, we're not against you, but this will actually protect you also, because we'll have a way to get in there and see what's going on and say to the landlord, hey, fix this for these people. They have a right to be safe.
Yeah, well, I also have to mention something that you just said I'm going to comment on, which is most of the rental properties, they abide by the rules, and they're a fabulous addition to the neighborhood. It's just the few that don't, that make something like this necessary.
I agree with you. Would you like to say something, Mr. Rice?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to mention was,
there is a definition of what a single family is. So besides the housing codes that we have, a single-family residence can only be occupied by what is a single family. Now, the definition of single family had to be expanded because of case law coming from group homes and so forth. So, a couple of older unmarried people, for example, that are living as a genuine, legitimate, single, not-for-profit housekeeping unit can be a single family. But you can't have, as we just dealt with, someone who rents out bedrooms to individual families. If we just started an action for an injunction to stop people from doing that. So, single-family homes have to be used for a single family.
Yeah, that's not the case for some of the rentals on the West Ward. I think everyone knows the addresses I'm talking about. We've made it pretty clear, but without getting...
We appreciate your comment, and we recognize there are problems, and that's why we're trying to go full force and address them as a board,
Yeah,
okay?
and also Lisa Gollihue, who can't be here, she's out of town, she also is very happy with this as well, 25.
Very good, I know, yes, very good. Thank you. Yes,
Thank
I've been over there on a Sunday looking at inspections with the building inspector, so I know your area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
It's a 7-day-a-week job. God bless. Anyone else like to make any comments, please? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm new again to your area.
Very good.
Just over.
May I ask your name?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Richard Evans.
Richard.
I am not a resident of Suffolk. I'm not a resident of New York. I'm a resident of Connecticut, and currently responsible for 2 properties within your village. I have no problem with your registry. I think understanding what's behind it is perfectly fine by me. What I'd like to get behind is understanding the definition of a property manager. Your ordinance or your local law makes mention that if I don't live in the county of Rockland, I need to have a property manager. What is the definition of such? At a fingertip, I've got to dial for a general contractor, I've got to dial instantly for a plumber. I mean, if my tenant has an issue, call the property manager's going to call those same people. So I'm just curious why I would individually need to have a property manager, and how does that definition play out?
Well, the law requires that there be somebody responsible within the county of Rockland, and there's a good and valid reason so that somebody can respond to any problems on the property expeditiously. Not an unusual provision in laws of this type, and I think it's reasonable. I mean, it's not that difficult to hire or contact somebody that can be available to respond.
So a licensed general contractor seems to fit the bill.
A licensed general contractor. Can you speak up a
And
little?
it doesn't say who the person has to be. They've got to be, obviously, a responsible person, but somebody that can be reached that resides in the county so that they can respond.
Yes, yes, a general contractor
Sure, that
could
would be fine.
Sure.
I mean,
All right, that
Listen, as you know, we want to be reactive to the people that live there, responsible if something happens, to those tenants also, as well as the fire, the police department, and all our many services that we have here in this village.
the point is to get things handled quickly so they don't get out of hand and just create bigger problems.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm supportive. That definition makes me more comfortable as somebody not living immediately to the area. I could live in Mahwah, New Jersey, and be here faster than somebody from Nyack, New York, which is Rockland County, too. So I think you got to think about that a little bit. My tenant in the 2-family I manage knows the property, might actually be a little bit smarter about property management than me, and maybe my general contractor. She just happens to come from a family of builders.
Well, maybe that person could be the...
She's
Anybody.
terrific.
Okay, then maybe that person could be the representative. So we're not judging that part. We just want, matter of fact, they're right there, so that's fine, sir.
Perfect. That's what I came down for. I appreciate your time.
No problem.
If you want to look at the law, it's pretty well defined in section 215-3, sub 10.
Okay, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, we put copies here too, if you want to take one with you. There you go. We put it out on the website, I put it out on my Facebook page.
Well read on your Facebook page and your town website.
All right, very good, sir, thank you. I see you're part of our neighborhood, thank you.
Mr. Rice, I just want to inquire, he brought up an interesting point. What if someone did live in Mawa that was acting as the property manager, or, in other words, they can get here fast, so is there a reason that it's Rockland County only?
It was a way to define it. I think it could be changed since we're on a border here, to say within X number of miles.
I mean, if there's a reason for it to be Rockland, that makes total sense.
That's a way of defining it in close proximity. I mean, there certainly are other ways of doing it.
It just strikes me as it could be considered arbitrary or something unless there's a reason to make it.
Well, I wouldn't call it legally arbitrary, but I mean, as far as trying to make it practical, I mean, I don't see a problem with saying within 10 miles or something like that. I would do a subsequent amendment rather than trying to change it on the fly here.
That's why we're having public hearings, so we can hear different things. Get it what works for everybody. That's the purpose of this, so it's working. That's government action working. So we can adjust that to say something.
The gentleman brought it up.
something mild.
I thought it was
No,
worth
and it's a fair point.
following up.
It's a fair point, so we could consider that 100%. That's why it's a public hearing. Then we adjust the law as we hear.
Terry, proof of residency of each owner. What would be acceptable proof?
But I can't hear him. Jim, can you speak up?
A little louder, Jim.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
215.3, proof of residency. What is going to be acceptable proof?
What section are you talking about?
215.3.
Right here.
215.3.
Proof of residency. Proof of residency. Well, we're pretty good with the pool. Kathy's very tough at getting pool IDs, so that might be very good.
Yeah, but that's
Jim,
fun.
which subsection in 3?
It's 3.
Yeah, 3 what?
A3, 215A3.
I don't think there's any limitation, anything that's passable,
Okay.
It's a discretionary.
How about section 6? The number of persons intended to be accommodated and reside in such room of each rental dwelling. How are you going to police that?
We're asking for the information. If someone's inaccurate, they're risking a violation.
Okay.
The building inspector will have...
Let me drill down on the question, okay?
We're gonna, first of all, part of this is an inspection, okay? Now, there's not much we can do as human beings. If we go in there, they have something, and the next day they put someone else in. That's where we have to then use our code enforcers, and if we have to at a later date, go in with search warrants. But there's no doubt someone could tell us in a room that this and that, and we go and inspect them, and there's enough for 2 single beds, and then the next day they put another bed in.
Right.
That's humanly, that can happen, Jim. So how are we going to do it? We're doing it because in this law, we're doing inspections, number 1, and we're doing yearly inspections, number 2. And the other thing in this law is that if we find things out there that through time and through neighbors telling us and through code enforcers telling us, we then, with probable cause, can get a search warrant and we can go into the house. So we will use the tools we have. It's not a perfect world. It's never going to be a perfect law because of landlords that aren't responsible to our neighborhoods. But we're going to do our attempt to force them to be responsible.
And by the way, I mean...
You got to do inspections, I understand that.
Right.
Is there any legal way when an owner signs a lease with a rental to get identification of the people that are going to occupy that
No,
unit?
and we, one of the versions of the law that I did, we had something somewhat similar to that, and I didn't think it was constitutional. I think we had some serious...
That's why I'm asking you. to
Yeah,
see if it's
I think we could deal with a number of people. The other thing I wanted to add, Jim, with respect to, we want to know how many people they're proposing to have in a room. Obviously, somebody can lie, just like somebody can have a second family in a house we can't make people honest. But on the other hand, if they're discovered to have misrepresented, they won't be able to get another permit. One of the provisions in there is if they've violated the provisions in the past year, they can't get a permit. So there's, right in the law itself, besides the potential $10,000 fine per week, there is the ability to just say, no, you can't have a rental unit for a year.
Yeah, it's all in here, I read it. I mean, it's a good law, I'm just trying to pick at things that maybe could make it stronger if they're legal. 215.4, there's something in this paragraph that says a minimum inspection every 2 months. Yeah, I'm not going to read through the whole section. I'm sorry, 215.4A.
Inspection shall take place a minimum every 12 months.
Every 12 months, Jim.
Okay, the inspection shall take place at a minimum of every, okay, you know what? I think I circled the one off.
Okay, that's okay. Listen, if we could get away with 4 months, I'd consider it, but I don't think we can, Jim.
And that's keyed into the fact that the law's been amended to provide that a permit is only good for 1 year. So every year, in order to get your permit, you have to get an inspection. And, unfortunately or fortunately, the Fourth Amendment applies to the Constitution, applies in the Village of Suffern. So somebody can say, no, you can't come into my house, but then they don't get a permit, and now we start wondering what's going on there and get a search warrant. So.
Yeah, either yes or you get a search warrant.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Come on up, please. Just give your name and address, please.
I'm Jerry Shappy. I live at 42 Ramapo Ave. And I would just like you to speak to, I understand the reason for this and comfortable with almost all of it, but something was mentioned about a community task force.
Okay, community task force is just me having a community be involved and giving us their input and understanding what's going on. And it's important. We as police department, sometimes a call happens. It's because the public sees something going on, not the police see it. But the community is our eyes and ears to a better community. So that's really the intent of it. And different advisement, people advise, just like we're doing this public hearing now. It's almost like people just saying, okay, and just working as a community to make it a better community. That's really the idea behind it. Not a task force where the community is going in. They're just people from the community who are giving us advice, maybe as the law goes on, how we can improve it also. And the community itself, to me, is a task force all the time. I get complaints every single day thinking about code and this and that. This is a constant and growing situation in Suffolk. So it's not like it's something we address. The building department get things, the code enforcers go out, and it's not in a task force like, oh my God, we're going after you, but more like, hey, how can we make the community better? And if we see something wrong, if you see something, say something. That's really the idea behind it.
Okay, I just want to throw my 2 cents in about that. I've been in Suffolk for like 37, 38 years now, and I've been involved in different committees and whatnot. So I really appreciate the community of the village. I do certainly, knowing our neighbors, have complete faith that if somebody is seeing something wrong, they will say something, myself included. Right. What I'm not comfortable with, and like I said, it's just my 2 cents, I don't like the idea of a task force because I don't think we need a community of neighbors looking to kind of neighbor against neighbor, pitting neighbor against neighbor. That makes me very uncomfortable about a direction that we're going in. Like I said, the community neighbors are going to make phone calls anyway. Like you said, they do all the time. I've made calls. I think that we need to just trust in that. But the idea of giving people a certain degree of authority in kind of, almost going against neighbors. Like I said, the idea is we all want a nice neighborhood, we want everybody safe and happy and getting along. I'm just very uncomfortable with the direction that that leads to. So I just want to share that.
I guess I think of it more from the, first of all, there's task force all over this county. There's a task force with building departments, there's a task force with the county, Ed Day has task force. We now work with almost like a task force with the health department now. There's more of we went on, and I'll leave a certain house not too long ago, we went in there with the police department, we went in there with the health department, we went in there, with the fire inspector, we went in there with the code enforcement, with the building inspector. So I guess what I'm saying is that under the guidance of the village, I'm not sending people out after people, but I do want people to feel welcome to let us know if something's wrong, okay? We don't...
I think we do.
No, and I hear, but even like the health department, you can call that, people do anonymous complaints, this and that, so it's to help this law work, not against this law, or against people, you might say, so...
And you don't think it could work just as it is now with people reporting things that they see?
No, but I think they could, community task force, just say it's to the effectiveness of helping me maybe improve this law.
Okay, I'm not comfortable with
No,
it
I understand,
personally, just
I understand. But if neighbors are telling on neighbors anyway,
Well, right, but it's
then
not...
isn't it doesn't exist already?
But then why...
No, if that's your point, no, based on your statement, not mine, so...
Yeah, but why create something new and more, like I said, authoritative?
Because I sit in this office every day, and I get complaints every day, and I see what's going on every day, and I see how our building department, and I'm telling you I need help. I'm telling you this board needs help, and I'm telling you this village needs help, and I think this is just an addition to that help.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
that's my belief, but it's not going to be some rogue unit going around with badges, okay? It will not be.
Things start.
It won't with me, so.
Just saying.
Listen, I appreciate that, appreciate your comment. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm Lois Judy, 558 Kensico Court. This has nothing to do with housing. This has to do with the village. My husband and I, my friends, we like to go to the village, we like to go to the theater, we like to go to the movies, the restaurant.
Is this a reference to this?
What?
Is this a reference to this issue?
Not the housing, no.
Okay, then we can only do the housing on this one. This is
you're
official
only doing
record.
housing.
We're going to do public session later for,
Oh, all right.
okay?
Okay.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you, Lois, okay?
She must have do what he...
Darian DaCosta, 52 Ramapo Avenue. I like the concept of the resolution. I even like the concept of registry, knowing who the owners are, having some kind of database for that. A couple of things I probably disagree with, like I agree with the gentleman over here about the location, the comment trustee made about someone living in Mawa. Maybe it should be a radius of 50 or 100 miles. I mean, I own a rental property in Florida. I don't have a property manager. I have my contacts and I call them the second anything's done. So I see the point of having a property manager, but I also like the fact that you said it's a very broad definition of a property manager. And in terms of, complaints, like, there's a lot of rental properties on Ramapo Avenue, and, we've been friends with some tenants, and several of them who have been great over the years. There's a property a couple houses down from us where there's a lot of younger people renting it, and, sometimes late at night, in the summertime, they're having a party in their backyard, and I can hear them in my bedroom with the windows closed, at close to midnight sometimes, and I've called the police, and literally nothing happens. So I get and agree with certain parts of this. I guess the part that has me a little bit concerned is the annual inspection is really more about the search warrant part of it. Like, one, I think you can tell where the bad property owners are. Like, chances are if the inside of your building is crap, the outside's gonna be crap too. So I think you'd be able to tell in many cases, who the ones that are violating it are. Secondly, I guess part of me wonders, where does it end? Do we end up having annual inspections for non-rental property owners, things like that too? The search warrant part seems invasive. It seems like there are other avenues. Just an example, my wife has a cousin who has mental health issues. He's a hoarder. So he lives in New Jersey in the village of Cliffside Park. And his hoarding was apparent. He hoards garbage, and it was apparent right to the hallway at the entrance to the building. They couldn't have inspected his apartment because he couldn't get into it. But, what the fire department did was they put a sticker on the door and basically said, you can't stay in this place while it's like this. So it just seems to me like there might be other alternatives to a search warrant than what seems like, law enforcement breaking down your door. That's kind of my thoughts.
The intent of a search warrant is not your first step. A first warrant is your last resort, okay? And you got to remember, a search warrant be exercised because there is probable cause, and there could be danger to people inside. It's not always just about the landlord's rights, okay? It's also about the tenant's rights and the safety of people. And that's become a fairly big issue, more I noticed than years ago. And it is important because there are more people going to houses than they did when I was a younger person. There are more people living in houses and suffering or rentals. They are doing it a different style. Maybe part of the reason is because of a housing shortage. But at the same time, we cannot knowingly allow overcrowding or unsafe conditions. It'd be irresponsible on our part. So I find most people, when you're willing to go the whole way, they're more apt to then abide by the law. If a landlord finds out you got that search warrant and he'll then sometimes say, okay, come on in now, and let you in. So it's a means of last resort. It's not something we're going to be doing search warrants every single day. But if it's a search warrant for a probable cause is already allowed in our law, sir.
Well,
so
the way you presented it there is different than the way it reads in the actual resolution.
Oh, okay.
The resolution doesn't say anything about probable cause. It doesn't say about contacting the owner to deliver a search warrant. It kind of sounds like, if you say no, we're going to issue a search warrant.
I think it does say probable cause in that law.
No, in order to get a search warrant, the prosecuting attorney has to go to the local judge and demonstrate probable cause that there's a zoning violation or a violation of this code going on. It's not just there for the asking. You have to make some type of showing. And again, I mean, look, the normal course of violations is not that you just start out with a search warrant. I mean, normally you try cooperation, and that's for a recalcitrant property owner. I mean, again, I mean, as I said, the Fourth Amendment applies in the Village of Suffern, and it's not something that's going to happen every day. If there's clear violations, obviously you can get a search warrant. If somebody refuses the inspection, they certainly have a right to do that, but then, all right, people are going to look at it and say, what's going on there? And then they have to establish facts to go in front of the judge. I mean, it's just like if a cop stops you and says, I want to look into your trunk, you can say no, unless they have probable cause to think something's going on. So, yeah, there's got to be some type of showing to a judge that there is a violation before a search warrant can be issued. And again, it's not something that's going to happen every day.
I'm curious, will there be a cost to the property owners for the permits?
Say again?
Will there be a cost to the property owners?
There's going to be no cost, and I decided that, and this board decided that, because we felt it was more important to have the people register and know than to use that as a hindrance for them not to do it, okay? If we find at some points down the road that we need to do it, we will. But it was more important to have that registry than to make money, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Please, sir, come on up if you'd like to make a comment.
Jack Wolf's got run over.
I didn't want to come up a second time. I missed the question in my first go-round. Building inspector goes into a responsible landowner's unit, and he does find a violation. Is it an immediate fine? Is there time to correct?
There's always time to correct, sir. You get a notice of violation, you'll get about 30 days to correct, sir.
And then, you know, Mayor, your intentions, this board's intentions may be great, okay? But somebody's going to inherit this ordinance after you at some point in time. And I agree with this past gentleman who was up, and I love the Fourth Amendment comments from the village attorney. But it could, the way it reads in sections, and I read it the same way as this gentleman, I don't allow you into my unit for whatever reason, okay? Oh, what's going on there? I'm going to issue a search warrant. That's how it reads. And I agree with the village attorney's comments a moment ago of saying, hey, I have a right to say no. But that shouldn't necessarily create a red flag. I could just be one of these guys that says, hey, I think government's overreaching. So I appreciate those comments, and I agree with them. Thank you very much.
If I could just add, I mean, look, every municipality constantly deals with zoning violations, code violations, and most communities, including Suffern, the aim is to get compliance. It's not to make money out of it. It's not to harass people. So normally, unless it's a really bad condition that it's dangerous and we got to get it taken care of right away, it kind of progresses. We work through cooperation, fix this, they fix it, you're good. You don't fix it, and the building inspector will say, what, do you need another 2 days? You don't need it. If they think they're getting run around the flagpole, then it starts going into court and starts, going a different direction. But the whole purpose is really to get compliance, not to try and beat people over the head. I mean, it never has been.
Come on up, sir. Good evening, Mr. Meehan.
I shared this with the mayor the other day, and I said, I think this is a great idea. I have no criticism of it whatsoever. I know that you're going to handle it in a professional way. And I have 2 degrees in political science, and I read about it all the time. And one of the things that doesn't come up in political science too often, we don't hear about it. It's an old political science saying, what you need is, and what we have here tonight is leadership. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it, public session closed.
Hi, my name is Hannah Fenton. I live at 11 Hillside Avenue. I walk my dogs like 3 to 4 times a day, and I see the change. I've been in Suffern for over like 25 years, and I'm glad you guys are doing this because I don't even want to say what I see on the streets, but the glass, the garbage all over the place, a lot of people living in one house, bikes all over the place. I'm glad you guys are doing this because if you see tomorrow when the kids go back to school, you're going to see a lot of kids outside. And you're going to say, oh my God, you didn't see these kids all summer long, and now you see like 20 to 50 kids standing on the bus stop waiting to go to school. And you're like, where are these kids living at,
Thank you very, very much, okay? And that is a concern. Safety of those families is a concern also. Thank you very much. Okay. I don't see any more comments, so could I please have a motion to close the public hearing, please? Motion made by trustee Hagan. Can I get a second, please?
Second, trustee Alpert.
Second made by trustee Albert. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. I'd like to talk about a couple issues. First, I think we should adjust the radius on this, on where it is. It's not just Rockland County. It should be a radius issue. And I think we have a strong community. The reason we brought forth is not just what we see, but what the community sees. And at this point, I'd be willing to take the task force out of it if people are offended or hurt by it, because my intent is not to make it like a police state. It's not by any means trying to be a police state. So if the board is welcome with that, I'd be willing to. But, at some point, if we felt we needed to, I would. But I would welcome community members to come and, talk to me as much as we could. The task force was just a brainstorm of my own, with just a clear, my only intent of that task force was, maybe doing it. But I can do that task force. We have these West Ward people here always on top of me, okay, and all these other neighborhoods caring. So I would be willing to adjust this law, Terry, if we could, if that'd be good with the other board members.
Yeah, and if you want to make an amendment, instead of residing in the county of Rockland, we certainly on the fly here, because I wouldn't consider it to be a substantive change, in 215-3A10, change County of Rockland to within either 10 or 15 miles, whatever you want. I mean, I just quickly Googled from here to Nyack's approximately 12 miles, so the county, 12, 15 miles, anything that you would say like that is pretty much a minor change.
So,
Sure.
let's say what is 30 miles, Terry?
30 miles is
30
generous.
miles,
That's fine.
we get through Rockland County, we can go up to Orange County, I think 30 miles into Bergen County. Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
Sure.
Now, we can always adjust these laws as we go to, pieces of them with another public hearing to improve them, so there's nothing wrong with doing that. I still will look to have a community group just, always talking to me and keeping me alert. I just don't want to scare people off with the word task force, okay? And if that alarms people, then my intent is not to, by any means, again, treat it as a police state, but I definitely believe it's an enforcement and compliance state, okay? The reason we do enforcement is because we don't get compliance. We're trying to get people to do compliance here. And that's why we're not looking for money from them. We just want them to, care about our community and care about all those new people that are renting. And it's our responsibility in government to watch out for those that can't watch out for themselves. And that's what I'm going to stand for here, huh? And this board stands for that, I think, too. So,
I have a couple questions, Mayor.
Go ahead,
So,
sir.
number one, it's like a two-pronged question. Let's say that somebody's renting out a house or whatever, and they either don't know about the law because maybe they are out of town themselves. How do we notify everybody that the law has taken effect in the first place so that we can get this compliance?
Well, again, I think it's kind of an enforcement type of thing. The law requires people to register within 60 days of the adoption of the law, and then every year thereafter. I mean, it can be publicized, and as time goes on, we'll learn more and more about people that are renting the homes out. I'm sure the water records and so forth have some type of notation.
And it's a multitude of things. I actually talked with the treasurer recently about actually mailing a notice out to every resident in this village.
Okay.
So I've already talked with Mr. Gito. We're looking into what format we can do that in, what's the best format, besides putting it on Facebook, besides putting out notice, besides putting it out with tax bills, besides any way we can get it out, we can get it out. But just because we don't know, I mean, the people have a responsibility too of the laws, okay? So, to stay aware, but we will do everything we can to notify as many residents, or all residents, as we can. So we already know what the two-family houses, what the three-family houses, what multiple dwellings are, okay? So we know that. We don't know all the illegal ones, and that's what we're trying to get at, folks. Huh? So I need community help for this, okay? Not a task force, but I need community help for this, right? And I welcome community help for this. So that's where we're at, and again, we're looking into different ways of informing people with notices. Again, I'm talking to the treasurer. He's looking at where we get the funds for doing this, okay? So we can properly do this, because it's that important. And there's nothing wrong when we find someone out, the code enforcer going out and giving them the law and say, hey, this is the law, folks. And that's, and whenever a house is sold also, they do searches here. We'll send them out a letter at that point too. A lot of this is, we have a lot of this down form. We're going to improve upon it all the time. It's a work in progress that we're going to improve upon as a board, with our great employees here, and with our community. That's our intent here, folks.
My second question relates to this in some way. Let's say hypothetically that, I don't know, 700 new houses are determined to be renting, okay, that would fall under this jurisdiction. Do we have the staffing to do all the required inspections of these properties? And is that going to pose a problem on our building department, for instance?
I think this is one of our biggest situations we have in the village of Suffolk. I think our water is important. I think our police is important. I think our fire is important. And I think our building department is important. And if we need to increase our building department, as we said we would, then we're doing it. We have one code enforcer right now. He should be almost trained. I'm specifically putting him, Jordan, he's actually a fireman right now in the village of Suffolk. I've already told him he's specifically going to be put on this. I'm actually talking to Kathy Mills here. I'm moving someone part-time over from recreation to that. And I've also talked about, which I'm going to talk to the board about, another person in this village who can do a certain amount of hours, who we hired not too long ago in the parking authority, and they're doing an absolute excellent job. So yes, we need more help to do it, but it's something we need done. And I believe strongly in this. I'm going to push for it. And just as we have hired 2 new cops now, put them back on, brought it to the 22. This village years ago had 29 police officers. We now have full-time police officers. We now have 22 full-time police officers, okay? Because over the years, way back when, different mayors or whoever cut the police department to make up their budgets. I brought it back to the 22 number under the guidance of our chief of police here, Andy Laughlin, okay? He also now has assigned his part-time officers to walk the downtown, because it is changing, because these rental units are getting more people, okay? So we've invited the sheriff's department to come down later. I actually saw the sheriff last week, and I said, can you bring him in a little earlier at night? Because we pay taxes to the county, so why shouldn't we have that help? And this is not just this is with this board, and this is under the guidance of the chief of police here. So we recognize these things, okay? We recognize that, we just bought, and I give Joe Hunt credit back there at DPW, we just bought a cement cleaner, so we can go down and clean the cement on the sidewalks, okay? So we can get that off, okay? We just bought 2 new signs to put on different streets because we recognize speeding's a big problem in this village, okay? Like most villages. But we have to, sometimes people just aren't aware of what speed they're going and what speed they're not going. Sometimes you have to remind them. That we like to get them hit in the back of the head, but we're not in the car with them, so we can't hit them in the back of the head. So, and this goes for all. This ain't just kids, this is adults too. I find myself sometimes, slow down, Michael. So the more we have, we even got a sign for the poles now that go on the poles and tell you. But the sign he has that tells you about all the speed limits and stuff, it'll tell you how many cars are coming. And he's more professional on this than me, and he'll tell you on that, okay? But we recognize there's concerns here, okay? But all these concerns come from the same concerns. It comes from different people moving in, volumes of people moving in, and people living in the wrong conditions. You know, too many people going in places. There are laws for this. We just need help to do it. And if we need to hire more people, I will hire more people to take care of this area, and I hope the board supports me. So far you have, and I fully expect you will, because that is a severe situation we have. I've gone out with the building inspector and went to different situations. I've been advised not to go by the village attorney, but I didn't take this job on to sit back. You know, that's his trying to protect me. I don't care about protection. I care about getting this done right, as the chief of police does, as the fire chief does, as we all do. You're here because you care. That's why you're here. I like hearing comments, even if we don't agree, right? It's good that we can hear each other comments and maybe learn from it, as I did tonight, okay? As I did tonight. So, whatever, that's it on that. Okay, I won't bore you no more. I apologize, okay?
I have one more question, I'm sorry, I just, a lot of thoughts. So let's say, so I think you said earlier that someone has 30 days basically after if there's an inspection to correct any kind of error. Now, what about the opposite of that? What if we find or hear from a neighbor that there's a home that has, that's being rented out, but was not on this registry? Is there a penalty for that? And is that immediate?
Well, theoretically, I mean, I shouldn't say theoretically, in actuality, it's a violation of the law.
So is that a...
But again, it's, I think the aim is to get compliance. I don't think that the code enforcement officer, the building inspector, are necessarily going to start going nuclear on people. I think we want to get them to file.
Right. Whenever we find a violation, we give them time to, as long as they come in compliance, we don't have to do anything, and our mission worked.
Right.
Mission
What I'm
accomplished.
trying to say, though, is should there be some sort of penalty for somebody who basically thumbs their nose and says,
Yes,
I'm not
and
going to
there is.
register for this,
And there is.
then it's an immediate penalty.
$10,000.
Well, I saw the $10,000 penalty.
Yeah, we can then issue the violations, and they go in front of a judge. I can't control what a judge, that's in there already. That is in it. If you're talking about thumbing your nose, that's a whole different story. If someone accidentally doesn't know yet, and we go to them, they go into compliance, we've won. That's what we want. That's why we didn't put no fee on this.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want any hindrance on it. So it's not something that's going to get accomplished in 30 days. But we have to start. We have to try. If you don't, I failed. And I'm not going to fail, okay? Did I close the public hearing? Okay, folks, thank you. We're going to go to our attorney. So at this point, the attorney, go ahead.
All right, so the first thing is, if you desire to do so tonight, to take action on the local law, I would first, I prepared a resolution, but before you get to the resolution, if you want to amend the introductory local law, I would suggest a motion to amend the introductory local law, section 215-3A sub 10, to substitute within 30 miles for Rockland County, leaving me the liberty to fix whatever grammatical things we have to do. But
Before we go ahead, does everyone agree with that? The 30 miles? Does that make sense?
30 miles.
That makes sense, Mr. Hagan? That makes sense with you, sir? Trustee Dennis Hogue, that makes sense with you? Okay, so I'd like to, first of all, make a motion to amend the
introductory
introductory local law 215-3A sub 10 to include to substitute within 30 miles.
For Rockland County.
For Rockland County.
And that's
Can I have a motion?
30 miles of the property or 30 miles
Yes, 30 miles of the property.
Of the property. That should be
Correct.
30 miles from the property, yes. Can I please have a motion, please?
Motion, Trustee Albert.
Motion made by Trustee Albert, second, please.
Second, Trustee Corrigan.
Second made by Trustee Hogan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, and then secondarily, there's a resolution that I prepared with the number of whereases, but it classifies it as a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, meaning it's exempt from the environmental review process and adopting the local law as the introductory local law as amended.
Okay, so we'd like to, at this point, adopt the introductory local law as amended. Motion, please.
Trustee Corrigan?
Motion by trustee Corrigan. Second, please.
Second, Dennis.
Second made by trustee Dennis Hogan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. The second thing they have under my agenda is...
Let me just say something.
Yeah.
The task force was not actually put in the law. That was something that I wanted to do separate and apart, involved with the community. So we're still going to have a community doing whatever. So it doesn't weaken the law at all because it was never in the law. So, but thank you, folks.
The other resolution I have under my part of the agenda is a resolution the police department requested, providing that all digital records will adhere to the regulations of the Commissioner of Education, and copies of records in other formats, including paper, shall be deemed convenience copies. This is a resolution requested by the chief.
Okay, can I get a motion for a resolution authorize the retention of all digitally created records in a native format, please?
Trustee
Motion?
Corrigan?
Motion made by trustee Corrigan. Second, please.
Second, trustee Hagan.
Second made by trustee Hagan. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Attorney, fire department here? Chief, it's your first time in front of us. I want to welcome you.
Please be easy on me.
I want to tell you, you're the best dressed so far.
Thanks.
You're the best. Make sure you let the other guys know that.
Just two new members of the Volunteer Hose Company, Robert Condon and Robert Young, both over 18.
Very good. Okay, so I'd like to have I'll do them at the same time, a motion accepting new member Robert Condon and Robert Ung to the Volunteer Hose Company number 1. Can I get a motion, please?
Trustee Corrigan?
Motion made by trustee Corrigan, seconded by trustee Hagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Chief, I just want to tell you guys that...
Robert, too? How are you going to manage that?
Hey, Jerry gave me the easy one tonight.
And they're both in the same house.
There you go.
Chief, I see the calls are going out late at night and different times, and this board just wants to thank all of you guys for your service. We appreciate it very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Okay?
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Chief. Police Department, sir. Andy, I touched on some of your topic, but please go ahead with all of them. Don't let me... Sometimes I run off with my mouth. I apologize.
Good evening, everyone. In the month of August, the police department responded to 862 calls for service. I just wanted to update the board on our downtown enforcement efforts. I spoke to the board last month. The mayor stole a little of my thunder, but I'll kind of just keep you updated on it. So we're continuing to deploy additional manpower on our 3 to 11 shift, which is our afternoon shift, specifically for downtown enforcement. As Trustee Corrigan stated earlier, we had the Sheriff's Department's mounted unit in Suffern this last weekend. They're continuing to come to Suffern, on a rotating basis. I'll be sure to let you know next time they're going to be here. We've made numerous quality of life arrests and summonses downtown since we started this effort. First, violations such as possessions of open container of alcoholic beverages, littering, public urination, and public intoxication. Besides the quality of life type violations, we've also increased our enforcement of double parking, U-turns, which I know is a big concern downtown. So we are continuing to do that. We're going to keep continuing to do that and make sure that everybody feels safe downtown. The mayor also touched on, we just recently took delivery of 2 new speed enforcement items. The first is a radar sign. I'm sure you've seen them in other municipalities. We're able to move this sign from different locations that we get high complaints about speeding, things like that. This sign can be moved from different type of poles, telephone poles, sign poles, and it'll actually capture the speed of every vehicle passing and alert the motorists if they're traveling above the posted speed limit. The second item we took delivery of is similar to that, but it's a speed enforcement trailer. Same basic principle, a little bit more data can be gathered from that. But you'll see these deployed throughout the village, like I said, in areas that we see, our officers see the majority of the speeding, and also where we're getting complaints from residents about speeding.
Chief, thank you, and...
I have one agenda item for the board's consideration tonight. I would like to request that the board declare a 2013 Ford Explorer, which was one of the older vehicles in our fleet, as surplus. We've taken delivery of a replacement vehicle and no longer require this vehicle for municipal purposes.
Please, okay, very good. Can I have a motion to declare the Ford Explorer Police Department vehicle as a surplus, please? Motion, please.
Trustee Corrigan?
Motion made by trustee Corrigan, second, please.
Second, Dennis Hope.
Second Dennis Ho. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
That goes into surplus because, we replace the old, vehicles, and then we put them on government auction, we sell them, and then that goes back into the budget. Money goes back into the budget. That's how that goes on, folks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Ann.
Culture and recreation, please. Got a busy month coming up. Get your sleep, Kathleen. Get your sleep.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Village Board. So yes, we do have a very, very busy couple of weeks and 2 months, and then into the fall and holiday season. So I'll go over September and October events. We just finished the season yesterday at the pool. It was a wonderful season.
Perfect timing with a heat wave, by the way.
I know, and now people are saying now it's hot, now the pool's closed, so I'm sorry about that. But the pool closed yesterday. Very happy residents, very happy lifeguards, staff. It was a great summer at the pool, so thank you for that. It really was a great year. Then we want to open up the pool one more time. We're going to have a Mayor Fun Day at the pool on Saturday, September 9th, between 12 and 3. Are you going to jump in there?
Who'd be dumb enough to open up the pool after we close it? Who would answer that, Kathleen?
That is a very good question, Mayor.
Okay, I was the fool. I figure everyone's back from Labor Day, so we open it for one more day afterwards. All village residents are welcome to come, whether you're in the pool or not. We have a barbecue going on, we have a DJ going on, we have all fun events, we have balloon toss, we have the famous hula hoop contest, but I hurt my hip, so I won't be participating. So it's a fun time for everyone. Again, all village residents, whether you're a member of the pool or not, I'm telling you, it's a fun, great day. We'll have swimming, and I hope it doesn't rain.
Me too. And then Monday, September 11th, we will be having our 9/11 ceremony here at Village Hall outside. And it's a wonderful event. It's a very heartfelt event. We have a lot of it's going to be a very nice evening. We were also going to have a barbecue after the ceremony, so everybody can join us on the lawn over at the gazebo after the ceremony, again, which begins at 7 p.m., and then following will be a barbecue. Saturday, September 30th, I can't believe it's here already, but we have Suffern Day coming up down at the ball fields. The activities during the day are from 11 to 3, and then we have evening entertainment and fireworks starting at 6:30. The fireworks will go off at dark, so we're really looking forward to that. We've got a lot of community support for that. October events, we have Friday, October 6th, there will be the bonfire at the ball fields, time to be determined. Saturday, October 21st, this is always a great event within the village because we go down to village shops, we talk to the shop owners, we have the window painting at village shops starting at 10 a.m., and this is one of those events that is specifically for an age group because we try to concentrate on different age groups for different things. This is for ages 6th, 7th, and 8th. We're working with the Chamber of Commerce. They are giving the prizes for the event as they do every year. So the kids in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade will get the flyer once school starts back, and they love doing this. It's a great event for the village and for the students at Suffern Central. And then Sunday, October 29th, we will have the Halloween parade and the trunk or treat event starting at 2 p.m. And then the last thing on the agenda is we are looking to do our Broadway play. We did one in the spring. We're looking to do our fall one. We're looking to go to A Beautiful Noise, and we're purchasing tickets and looking to get that all set. So that's always a great event. We take a bus down into Broadway. People come with us, they hopefully come home with us and have a great day. So that's our last event for now.
Okay. I just want to mention that we have Lynn in the back. She's one of our members of our Recreation Committee. She comes to everything. She is so helpful, and I personally want to thank you. I just see you every time. You're just quiet, friendly, smiley, and you just work away, and whatever, you're a good soldier. You just do whatever Kathy asks. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart very much.
I didn't know you were here, Lynn, but I concur with everything the mayor said. You're fantastic, and our rec board members are fantastic. Angela, we really appreciate all the help. Melissa, we always appreciate the help, so thank you, thank you.
If you can fit any more events in, please come back to me soon. Okay, thank you,
Yes,
Kathy.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to open up the public comment period, limited to 4 minutes per person. Can I please have a motion to open a public comment, please? This is on any subject you want, even if you don't like my hair, you can talk about it, I don't care. Okay. Motion open, motion made by trustee Hagan, seconded by trustee Albert. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
My issue is the safety in the village.
Yes.
Okay? I've gone to the movies a few times with friends, and over where Dunkin' Donuts is, there's that wall, and there's always single men sitting there.
Right.
Across the street where Provident Bank is, there's men sitting there. As a woman, and I've spoken to other women, we feel very unsafe. I know you mentioned on Facebook you're going to have a foot patrol. I'm wondering when you're going to start that, and how often do they walk up and down the street?
We've already started, but I will let the chief of police answer you, okay? I'm not sure, when you talk about men sitting there,
Right.
I don't know what the crime is.
Well, I don't think loitering is a crime anymore, right?
I don't...
Loitering?
Yeah, I think I need the chief of police on this one. Thank you. Andy, come to the microphone, please.
Unfortunately, both of those locations are private property. So in order for them to be trespassing, the property owner would have to tell us that they don't want those people. So we could reach out to the property owners and see if, they're allowing these people to be there, and if they're not allowing them to be there, then they would need to sign permission and authority forms giving us the authority to ask those people to leave or violate them for trespassing. But both of those locations are private property. It's not something that we could just enforce like it was public property.
Thank you, chief.
Who owns the property, that wall, that used to be a bank next to Dunkin' Donuts? Who owns that now?
Who owns that property?
That property was bought years back by a gentleman who wanted to put a cigar bar type restaurant there. Unfortunately, the county health department denied him. It was actually tried before I was mayor. Then when I became mayor, I actually went down and sat with Ed Day and whatnot, and the gentleman wasn't allowed to do it. He wanted to put about $1 million, $2 million into the property, and they disallowed him, okay? When I saw him there, he saw people sitting there all the time. He never, said...
Are they picking up the garbage? Because after they leave, there's garbage there.
I don't deny that there's garbage. One of the owners, I saw him there about 3 weeks ago cleaning all of it up, yes. So it's like anything, you have to, it becomes another enforcement issue to make them. But unfortunately, we do have a new population moving in, a lot of different people moving in, and that's why the overcrowding is such a big topic. So I have to, again, defer to the chief of police on what's legal there and what isn't legal there. But as he said, and he can show you if you want to come and see, they started giving out a lot of tickets now for drinking, urination, other things. We recognize the problem. I just noticed an article in Nyack today on how bad it's been. What's happened with the legal system is the Bail Reform Act might have had a good intention, but and I think the chief of police could talk on this too, but the Bail Reform Act went too far. So if someone does something, you give them a ticket, boom, they don't have to go, if they don't even go to court, nothing happens to them anymore. And that's the problem. We need to change the Bail Reform Act. Okay?
The problem is, Mayor, that people that come into Suffern, they see that, they see these men sitting there, and they don't feel safe. So hence, it affects businesses, it affects your business, it affects all the other restaurants. People don't want to go downtown Suffern.
Well, I think a lot of people are going downtown Suffern right now, but yes, I agree with you. I agree with you that, and that's why the chief of police recognized that attention. He actually, I think, put one of his lieutenants and assigned him specifically to that, and he recognizes that as a concern. And I recognize that as concern. And that's why he's realigning things. So that's why he's shifting his personnel to do certain things, okay? But there's only certain things you can do under the law. And there's civil rights here. And there's only some things we can do. We all want it like it was 40 years ago, maybe. The laws have changed so much. It's put government, it's put the police under such restraints, and the chief can only do what he's allowed to by law, or else we're going to make a lot of people very rich. So he is on it, he is attentive to it, and we agree with your concern, and we are addressing that concern. But I've actually thought about maybe taking certain things and finding a soccer field to keep people busy, other places, So, but the chief is on it, his staff is on it, and they do recognize it. And he has task force recently where he's done the U-turn things, where he's done the double parking, because it is a problem. It is a problem. We recognize it, and we thank you, for coming here, but we're not ignoring it. And, I wish we could afford to hire 30 more cops.
So you have foot patrol going up and down the road?
Yes, he does. The chief has it, yes.
Weekends, like Saturday and Friday nights?
Particularly
3 to 11.
Yes, and that would be the situation when we're talking about. But we know it's like unfortunately there are new laws in place that had good intentions. Nobody ever wanted to see a person in jail for a year because they couldn't afford $300. Nobody ever wanted that while they were waiting a trial. That doesn't make sense. But it's gone to the point where nobody gets bail, and they can then thumb their nose at the law. And it's so limited in what can be done now.
I agree with you, but as a woman and speaking to my friends here with me, and she'll tell you also, you just don't feel safe.
No, and that's why the chief is addressing it, because we do agree with you that we need to make everyone feel safe, okay? And we do it with community involvement, people, caring and walking. I'm a firm believer that the more people you have walking on the streets, the safer it is.
I agree with you, but
so
I was there Saturday night. The streets of Suffern were empty. The streets of Suffern were empty.
This Friday and Saturday?
Saturday night.
Labor Day weekend. It's been like that. I've been downtown for 34 years. It's been like that for 34 years. Labor Day weekend, the streets of Suffern. You're 100% right. Because you know where they're at? They're at the beach. They're down the shore. They're upstate. They're not hanging out in Suffern, New York. We're just not that vacation spot anymore. But but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
We thank your concern. Thank you very much. In the microphone, Jim, please. Thank you very much.
That particular piece of property has no trespassing signs on it. Is it legal to do something when the owner posts no trespassing?
Yeah, that thing.
Let the chief of police answer it, please. Listen, we choose who the professionals are that work on that subject, and the chief seems to know more on that.
So in order to prosecute for trespass on private property, the owner would need to tell us specifically who's allowed on the property, who is not allowed on the property, and would have to agree to assist with a prosecution. So private property, he would need to give us what's called a permissional authority form and say, basically, in this situation, the easiest way would be, these are my employees, or these are the people that are authorized to be there, landscapers, whatever it may be. Anyone else is not, and, they should be arrested. But going back to that, you have a lot of residents that sit in that area also. You have a lot of people that walk through there that, maybe have lived in Suffern for 30 years. If they say those people aren't allowed on the property, they can't be on the property either. So it's not discretionary for us. It's not discretionary.
As you talk about that property, I had that's for another day, okay? But, the Chief, thank you for your information there. And thank you for working on this and recognize these problems, Chief. We appreciate it very much. Jim, he didn't hear your question, that's why he didn't hear it, so, that's okay. Let's see, where are we at now?
Anybody else?
Good evening, Lance Weinstein for Valley View Terrace, Suffern. First, I want to acknowledge the Chief of Police. He took over, he had a lot.
Try to talk into the microphone.
He had a lot on his plate, and he's doing a great job trying to bring this department back where it needs to be. Also, the DPW and the fire department are doing a great job. Just want to recognize that now to my business. Mayor, on or about August 13th, you and the building inspector were called to 27 Wayne Avenue with respect to work being done at 20-23 Wayne Avenue, Suffern Sales and Service. You and the building inspector observed major work being done to the structure at this address. The height of the roof line on the rear of the building was being raised about 7 feet, along with the foundation being constructed to extend the outer wall on the east side of the building about 2 feet. Now, here are my questions. Why did you and the building inspector issue permit number 23-106, which listed remove and replace shingles, remove and replace sheetrock, and build a 2.5-foot high retaining wall, when both of you observed the major work being done on the structure that I referenced above? That's question one. Question two, again, why you and the building inspector observed this work being done on or about August 13th. The permit 23-106 was backdated to July 25th. My question is why? 3, on April 3rd of this year, this board adopted a resolution number 038 that dealt with additional fees being applied when property owners were found doing work without a permit. This is a clear case of a property owner doing major work without a permit. Was this property owner charged the additional fee? If not, my question is why not? 4th, the cost of this permit itself is based on the cost of the project being done. This was major work being done to the structure at 20-23 Wayne Avenue. Why did the village only charge this property owner $315 for this permit for major construction, when the property owners that I spoke with have paid a lot more for permits for putting up fences, reshingling their roof, or adding simple additions to their house? $315 doesn't sound right. The stop order for 20-23 Wayne Avenue was issued on August 25th. Since this date, the property owner has disobeyed the stop order on several occasions. For example, paving over an area of construction that was not authorized to begin with, building a spray booth in an area inside the building that was not authorized to be built. Did the building department issue the property owner any violations for disobeying the stop work order? If so, how many violations and on what dates? If no violations were issued other than the stop work order, then my question is why not? Lastly, I sent several emails to this village concerning this issue. However, no one from the village could respond. That is not a way to run local government. And you referenced earlier about compliance and safety and all that. Then my question is to you, what are you doing about this 20-23 Wayne Avenue? Are you going to answer at the end of the meeting?
I'm good. When we're done with everyone else, I'm going to answer everything. No.
Got an oldie but goodie, guys. The wastewater treatment plant. I just want to know where we stand because the odor has been off the charts. Our weekend barbecues, our weekend crap fests, it's disgusting.
Right.
So, I understand that there's a lot of work being done. I know that the project has been going on a very long time. What's the end game here?
Charles, you want to come up and refer to that, please? Thank you, Charles. Charles runs the Public Works Department, so he's in charge of all that.
Well, the major upgrade at the wastewater treatment plant is substantially complete. We've been monitoring, obviously, the odors at the wastewater treatment plant have been a concern for for proceeding with this major upgrade. So we've been monitoring the odors. I'm a little bit surprised to hear that. I haven't gotten any other complaints. What I will do is sit down with the operators and see if there's anything that we can do in addition to what has already been done. Is this, again, this is something that I haven't really heard before in terms of, most recently haven't heard the odor complaints rather. We'll look into it and we'll see if there's anything that can be done further than what has already been done.
Very good, Charles. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that'd be helpful, actually,
Thank you very much. Okay.
That's all.
Being there's no further comments, I'd like to have a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Trustee Corrigan?
Motion made by Trustee Corrigan. Second, please.
Second, Dennis Hogue.
Second made by Trustee Dennis Hogue. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Charles, you might as well just go right to you. Charles, what we're going to do this as a consent agenda, okay? So just go through all of them. We'll do a consent agenda for items A to H.
K. Through K.
That's what I said, A through K.
Okay, item A, requesting authorization for payment application number 23 for Pitgaro and Deutsch for the Gosher Hardening of Water Treatment Plant Project in the amount of $1,669.44. Item B, requesting authorization for payment application number 14 for Meal Electric Company for the Gosher Hardening of Water Treatment Plant Project in the amount of $7,780.50. Item C, requesting authorization for payment application number 11 for Dewberry Engineers for the Gosher Hardening of Water Treatment Plant Project in the amount of $5,469. Item D, requesting authorization for payment application number 11 for Dewberry Engineers for the Gosher Emergency Generator Project in the amount of $4,537.45. Item E, requesting authorization for Mr. Eric Anderson to attend the Grade B Water Distribution License course in Cortland, New York on September 11th through September 15th at a cost of $600 for the course, plus the cost of hotels, meals, and transportation. Item F, requesting authorization to award the Village Hall replacement of boilers project to S&L Plumbing and Heating Corp. in the amount of $123,000. Item G, requesting authorization to award the 2023 right-of-way improvements project to MFD Quality Construction in the amount of $55,425. Item H, requesting authorization to award the Phase 13 roadway improvements project to Tilcon New York, Inc. in the amount of $589,092.50. Item I, requesting authorization to award municipal parking lot A, professional services to Brooker Engineering in the amount of $15,380. Item J, requesting authorization to solicit bids for Village Hall Heating Components Project with a due date of September 26th at 3 p.m. Item K, requesting authorization to prepare a request for qualifications for the lead service inventory as required by the Environmental Protection Agency, New York State, and Rockland County Health Departments, with a due date of October 27th, 2023 at 3 p.m. Fred had touched base on this. This is, the village has applied for a bipartisan infrastructure law grant to assist in the lead service inventory funding.
Okay, can I please have a resolution for consent agenda for items A through K? Motion, please?
I have a question, man.
Yes, go
Just
ahead.
on the last one, on K. Would that's the county telling you that you have to do a lead service inventory? Is that all the buildings that the village owns?
It's all the buildings.
All the municipal buildings?
All the everything in Suffolk.
Yeah.
All houses, everything.
All houses?
Everything.
So
Houses,
there's a
apartments.
formula for how they'll do it?
We're required by the Board of Health by a certain date,
Right.
so we realized this could be very expensive,
Yeah.
so we searched out for a grant, and there's a grant available, so we're applying for that grant. So we hope there's only a limited amount of these lead pipes.
Right.
So, but we're doing it, and as I talked to you the other day on it, when you called me, so we already talked about this. So we're hoping we can get a grant so we can assist the taxpayers in suffering so we don't pay for all of this. So they've already started working on it, our esteemed water department. They've already looked at certain things. They're going to be going through old records, old building department records, and anything we can do to get more for this. So it takes a burden off the taxpayers, but we didn't wake up and say, let's do this. We're being technically forced to do this.
I also have a question on H. Can you remind me what streets are covered under this year's road improvement, Phase 13?
Okay, so the roadways that we have as part of Phase 13 is Woodland Avenue, Vista Way, Prairie, Lincoln, Rockland, Chelsea, and the portion of Chestnut that's in front of the post office. There's a short, small section
That's a mess.
that has been paved.
I apologize, I was trying to write them down. Repeat just the last, so you had Prairie?
Charles, can you give him can you make a copy before he leaves? Give him a copy of that list? You got the copy of the list there?
I just have it written down, scribbled
Okay,
down.
all right.
I get you.
You can just read it to me, it's fine. So it's
Yeah, but
Prairie-
again, it's Woodland, Vista Way, Prairie, Lincoln, Rockland, Chelsea, and that portion of Chestnut.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Charles, very much. Appreciate it, Charles. No. What? Okay. Did anyone move on that motion?
Oh, no, we didn't. Motion, Trustee Alpert.
Motion made by Trustee Albert, second, please.
Trustee Corrigan.
Second made by Trustee Corrigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now, at this point, We don't need to go into executive session, so we'll go right to the trustees, please.
Yeah.
Any comments?
I've got
Go ahead.
something.
Right,
Yeah.
let Ms. Alba go first.
I go, Steve go first.
Go ahead, Steve.
So, yeah, I just wanted to talk to the public. I actually spoke to Superintendent Gunderson earlier today to express my views, because I feel like if the schools change considerably, it might, essentially, it might quicken exodus from Suffern. In particular, what I'm concerned about, I know it doesn't have any effect on us as a board, but I just wanted to express my view and use this moment to express my personal view. I believe that if they do in fact transfer to this system where they have kindergarten to second grade in one set of schools and 3 to 5 in the other set of schools, if you think about it, it will end up with 2 schools for any particular elementary school student to attend in the elementary level. In other words, they'll have a much farther commute to school than they do today. With 5 schools, I feel personally that they'd be better serving the residents. If they have to close a school, that's fine. In my opinion, it's fine, it makes sense. They should pass the savings of closing a school to the residents in the form of lower taxes, because our taxes are way too high. And I personally think they should have 4 schools open at every grade level so that nobody's commute is farther than a certain distance. And I just wanted to take this moment to specify that. That's my feeling. I spoke to Mr. Gunderson about it and gave him my views on some options to achieve that. I'm not going to get into the minutia of the conversation, but we'll see where it goes, of course. But that's my view. Thank you.
Mr. Hagan?
Okay, I have 3 items. One is any news on the IDA reimbursing stuff for the taxes on Avon?
No, all we filed so far was a notice of issue, Frank, okay? So that was to preserve our rights. We are, in your file, you will see some other paperwork in reference to someone that's considering coming to Suffern. It's in your file, Frank. We also, and I've talked to you about this already, we also, but at this point, no. There might be what they call a 50H hearing, where they get to question me on why we would put a notice of issue in. It's a legal thing. Mr. Rice will be involved in that, but actually, there's no, there's no movement with it. I did have a meeting with Ed Day, and he'd like everyone to get together and see if we can work things out and talk things out. And what came out of that meeting was even the town of Arapahoe said that they think their statement was Curly should get his money, but it's Suffern should get their money, okay? Because I'm going to fight hard to protect any taxes that I feel we should get, as I know this board would want the same.
Thank you for that. The second one, anything back on the swatting incident? It's too early, it's under investigation.
Chief, would you like to talk about the swatting incident, please? Mr. Hagan, anything more information? Come to the mic, please, but we'd like to know if you have any more. But
Any update?
Any update on the swatting incident?
The second incident is still under investigation. There's not really too much more I can tell you, publicly about it. The first incident, we are still working with the Orange County Sheriffs in Florida, as well as exploring some options with probation here in Rockland County to possibly charge the individual here in cooperation with Florida. So that is still ongoing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The third one was the property 166 Wayne Avenue, I believe. Is there anything further on that, Mayor?
I don't know what you're talking about, 166 Wayne Avenue. I'm not aware of it.
Nothing on that?
I don't know what property you're talking about.
It's on Wayne Avenue on the left side, heading out of the village. It's a big lot. They want to build there. I think you brought it up last month.
Yeah. What are we gonna vote on? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I know it.
I have the address wrong?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let the lawyer talk on that. Thank you.
You know, we've looked into the whole background on this. When the zone change was originally approved, and I don't remember the year, but it was quite a few years ago, it was subject to a condition that there be no more than 24 units on the property. The present owner has come in, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but significantly more units than that is being proposed. They've made an application for site plan approval to the planning board, and the planning board is in the process of reacting to that application. They obviously have a serious problem in that any site plan cannot be approved unless it complies with the zoning law, and it doesn't at this point. So the planning board is working through that, and so that there's a record made. And again, just to get to the conclusion, they can't build what's being proposed because of its lack of compliance with the condition of the zoning amendment.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so I could just a little bit, Frank. This property years ago had come before this village board, and it was rezoned. And it was rezoned with a stipulation of having allowable for 14 units on it. No, 24, I apologize, 24 units on it. But the gentleman only put in and got approval for actually 21 units. He has since sold that property, and a new person came and bought it and asked for a lot more units when I first came there, it was in front of the planning board. We pulled it back to the village board, and they submitted an application, and they now are coming in with 40-something units. I mean, I would look at everything, but I don't, this board, there was not a covenant, but it was limited to the use of it for 24 units, and this board feels that we should stick with those 24 units. So we're gonna protect it to keep it to 24 units. If a man wants to build, he's welcome to do his up to 24 units, okay? But I don't see where he can get more units on that property, and that's where I stand for sure, and that's where this board stands also.
All right, Mayor, and just to add, I think there was an issue with flooding there, where they wanted to build. There was some kind of engineering report done where they said water would be coming onto the property.
Well, I believe, it's been quite a few years, I believe all of those issues were examined at the time, but regardless, this is a completely new project that we're not even going to get to the flooding issue because they were running off from the mountain because they just can't do what they're asking to do.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Anyone else? That's good? Okay, I'll address a concern of 23 Wayne Avenue. 23 Wayne Avenue for many, many years has been a auto shop, auto body shop. Local family had it for many years. They sold it a couple of years back. Around July 20th or so, I was contacted by the resident who lives right next to it, who happens to be the person running against me from here. And she told me that she thought this guy might start working over there. So I contacted the building inspector. He met me over there, and we advised the people at that property that they can't work without a permit. So we didn't see them working. We didn't see any work done at that point. So they came in, that owner came in on that same day, the 21st, and got a building permit on the actual date of the 25th. It took him 4 days to get it from when he applied. The clerk upstairs is the only one who actually does building permits, issued that permit on the 25th. It's a long-standing employee, a good, honest employee that would never, ever consider backdating a permit of any kind. The next time I was on that property was August 25th, when we got knowledge that the person there had done more work. I again returned to that property on August 25th with the building inspector. That was the next time I was at that property. So when someone comes and presents the facts there or about or there or when, okay? I'm not here listening to nonsense, all right? The fact is, I was on that property on the 21st, then I was on that property on August 25th. On August 25th, the building inspector also alerted the code enforcer who came to that site, and they issued a violation, and a stop work order was issued on August 25th. Then the owner then asked if he could paint his property. You do not need a building permit to paint property. That was under advisement from the attorney, Robert Magrino, who is the building department's attorney. He then, on August 29th, the building owner asked if he could put his painting machine, which he bought, if he could have it installed inside his, in the thing. It was sitting outside on his driveway. We asked him to get, the building inspector did, to get the electrical permit, get your plumbing permit, your certificate of insurance, all the insurance is necessary to get the permit. He did that, and he received the permit on August 29th. He had a permit to do it. He was legally allowed to do it. Putting a painting booth in it was not, it was separate from a building permit. That again was under advisement from our building attorney, Robert Magrino, and our attorney, Terry Rice. Both of those lawyers approved that with the building inspector who was in contact. The next step is the gentleman was advised that he's going to have to go to the planning board and maybe the ZBA, and they will tell him what he has to do or not do. He also will be sent to court in front of our esteemed judge, Ernest Bonacourt, and he's been hit with a notice of violation, and he will have to settle that with the court also. And that's where it stands. I do not accept allegations of corruption against this building, against people that work in our building department or anyone else. Those are the facts. Not, oh, this time, there, or about. It's no there about. It never, ever happened. July 21st, July 25th, August 25th. Facts. If anyone has any other facts, come forward with them. If not, just move on, because it's a disgrace to accuse these fine CSE employees of anything. I will not, you had your chance to speak, sir. This is not, we're not doing this style of government, okay? You can't go make up allegations, sir. Sir, I am not accepting your disruptive behavior, okay? You had a chance. I'll answer every question you have. Everything is here, factual, proof. You can't, everything was answered, sir. You just don't like the answer, okay? When people don't like the answers, they make up their own truths. But these employees here are good, honest, hard-working people. And I will not accept these insults to our PBA members or our CSEA members, because they're good employees. Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion, trustee.
Motion made by trustee Albert. Can I get a second, please?
Trustee Corrigan.
Second made by trustee Corrigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.